Hello, folks, and welcome back to yet another edition of Grandpa Bill's Grunts and Groans. And at the time of this taping, it's April 23rd at approximately 4:23 p.m. in the afternoon. Back down in my bowels of my house slash my warehouse, where we've been before. For those of you that have joined me on a semi-regular or whatever basis, today it's going to be a little bit of hodgepodge to try to connect all of these subjects that I've been talking about at so many outlets and venues at the moment. My 3 websites, my 2 blogs, my blog talk radio show, and now this new podcast, which is very new, like, I don't know, 10 days or so new. Okay, so wherever you guys have come in and out, or this is your first time, or whatever, I've been talking about all of the background that you see here in, all of those venues I just mentioned at some given point. So the products, I've intimated a couple of things that I haven't gotten to yet. My old man workout routine, simply because I have a dumbbell in my hand. This isn't the length or extension, or it's not a product video unique to that training. Again, bear with me. And because these things are in proximity, I'm just going to randomly pick them and try to create the visual of a lot of what I've done via audio, if you will. Thank you. Okay, so when I do my routine, it's pretty in-depth. I'm not going to go through all that right here, but I do have these injuries that I've talked about and shown you on camera or whatever. So, this is my bad elbow that I've talked about before and so forth, unique to how I treat my arthritis. And then how I've used all these products over the years and all these things that I've been talking about. So thank you. So this elbow right here, it hurts, I'm in pain, whatever. I do this to keep the mobility while you go through the ludicrousy of the disease itself, arthritis. But if I just let it atrophy, if you will, and don't stay flexible, it will lock up on me. As same with my hand, my thumb, and all of that crazy stuff. We all have our individual things, no doubt. And again, it isn't an oh poor me thing. What I'm really trying to do is show you how the products have helped myself, my pets, my family, not in every single instance of every single product that I've offered for the years. It's no different. Family, guy down the street, Joe Schmo from Idaho, whatever. Nobody likes everything. I'm not here to say that. But when I tell you these incremental things, business-wise, it's nothing but the truth. So help me God, to be corny. And that's documented in my business life. I've joked about whatever, and some of it may be true. It's my sense of humor. Wherever Jimmy's Pool Hall, it's my crazy analogies. But if you went to Jimmy's Pool Hall, you may hear several stories about me, and they might be true. That's in a different life. That's what I'm also trying to do. Read a book, whatever analogy works for you guys. The one that works for me is I'm turning the page. I'm going to the next chapter. Whatever. That's what works for me. So that's what I'm attempting to do. Do I have a lot of chapters that have been read, if you will, in the crazy analogy? In the course of 65 years, get it? Do you get the analogy? I got a lot of chapters. Good, bad, ugly, indifferent, whatever. I think a fair statement would be if we all could wave a magic wand and go back in our lives, we probably would change lots of things. I don't know if that's a fair statement, but I know I would, but I can't. The one thing I don't have privy to is a time machine or whatever. So I'm trying to go the opposite way. I'm not sure if I'm creating a time machine to go into the future, but I'm just trying to combat the logical progression of breaking down of all of our human bodies by the design of physiology. I mean, it is what it is. But I decided to try to stay limber, flexible, and what have you. So, anyway, I do a series, I'll do a show about this specifically. I do X number of curls. I try to work on upper body as far as physicality. That is part and parcel because my private sector job is fairly physical. Speaking of water, all joking aside, try, if you're not familiar with it, and all kidding aside, try filling a very large vessel with water of your choice, the vessel, and try picking it up. I'm not saying you can't, I'm not saying anything, but pick it up. You won't pick it up like you would pick up a marshmallow. So for my job in the private sector, all by choice, all by design, this isn't necessarily a whine and moan. It's what I do and what I have to do and how I have to keep my body conditioned to be able to do it for hopefully a little while longer, and I've talked about all that crazy stuff. Okay? So, it's all part of my treatment, how I deal with it, and I've talked at length. I've always been transparent about my businesses. I've always been transparent about all my products. I have a real hard time talking about my bio. And I know you guys will chuckle or whatever. It's all I've been talking about for the last 10, 15 days. I get that too. But someone whom I respect highly suggested I should do that more. I'm not comfortable with that kind of stuff. I'm just not. And, I've never said I'm not proud of whatever I may or may not have accomplished and how I did it. I am damn proud of that. But to me, it's not that important. I'm not a trophy seeker or whatever, with no aspersions on anything other than telling you what works for me. I got a couple of awards or accolades or whatever, and I did fairly well in academia and all that crazy stuff. Well, it's in a drawer somewhere collecting dust. Now, again, hear me. I'm damn proud of what I did because I worked my butt off to get those, by the way. So I never walked away from that part of it. But it's great to be recognized and all of that too. I'm not saying that. It's just not the driving, motivating force in my life. I speak for myself. Thank you. I don't know what works for you or great, and I'm not saying anything about you. So eventually I will stop talking about me, I promise. But I felt as though, you see my Tourmaline shirt here, I think if you go through enough of the videos and blogs and so on and so forth, if you choose to do so, if nothing else, it should be adamantly, whatever adjective, that I'm certainly passionate about the product, whatever else I am or perceived I am or what have you. I feel pretty confident in that statement that almost I would get a unanimous vote of yes in a ubiquitous audience now, that my passion is at least coming through. Whether it's refined or the best or whatever, so be it. Okay, that's enough of my, workout. You get the idea, and I'll dedicate a show. I do squats and all that. I don't do it with heavy weights. Understand why I'm doing this. I'll never be Mr. Maine, obviously. Not my objective. I'm not looking for that, and I refer to no one again other than myself. That's not my objective. Bodybuilding's great. I didn't say anything against bodybuilding. Understand what I did say. This is to keep me flexible in my geriatric old age with the arthritis that I do have and all these ailments and all that crazy stuff that everybody has. And you guys know about my teeth because you have to try to listen to me talk with my partial plate. I've talked about all that. If you listen to the shows, Trina Felber, Dental Care, Michael King, so on and so forth. So again, a random podcast show here. I just am randomly going to repeat what I've repeated all along and just pick things from behind me. Sacred Clay, you've heard me talk about it, if indeed you've been there to do so. If indeed you went to the show about Michael King, this one was like a last month or whatever, if you've come to the shows enough, if you're an established client, I'm not sure, who comes in, when they come in, how they come in. I have kennel kelp clients that do come in. I know that for a fact. They've told me so. Again, not every single one of my kennel kelp clients. I don't know, we have to be careful nowadays, so I'm trying to be careful. Not every single one of my kennel kelp clients, but they are represented in coming in and listening to this show, or these shows, or my blogs, and etc. Some of them for 20 years. So, Sacred Clay, long-standing relationship, Michael King, all documented, all there out in the World Wide Web, all that good stuff. Whole array of products. These are just ones I've grabbed. I've got shows, blogs, whatever, about all of these individually, collectively, the whole gamut, to whatever degree that you choose to do your research to verify, bona fide, document. Talked about Michael King at length, how our relationship goes in 3 different aspects. I sell his products under private label, his full inventory, not stocking his full inventory. I've tried to make that distinction over the whole last year. Again, for those that come through the shows and what have you to know that, the last 6 months of last year, I talked continually in my blogs, shows, etc., after June-ish or July-ish of last year, how at that time I was weighing down all these multitude of products I've represented over the years, blah, 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 what my future plans were at that time being, 18 months away from I use my magic quotation fingers, you guys have seen me do this, my retirement, which will totally never happen, and that's all good and all that, and I've talked all about that, but I am going to slow down eventually. I am going to semi-retire, whatever, eventually. And I have a game plan for that. Well, I had a game plan for that, as I just said, 16 months ago, whatever last June was. Okay, since that time last year, to flash forward for those of you that don't know this, that are hearing it now, I guess, if you're watching this. Okay, I was going to do all these plans, blah, 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 one of which was going to be building a website for my granddaughter by the first quarter of this year. Keep in mind what I just said. This was 8-10 months ago. Bang, I got that accomplished. Good, bad, indifferent, real, not real. Only you guys will determine. That site's been up for about 6 weeks. We've had a real good modicum of success already. I didn't say we sold 10,000 units or whatever. I did not say that. But I did say we've had a modicum of success. We have sold a couple products. We do have a testimonial to the existing new recipe in the aromatherapy. That's real. That's valid. That's there. I'm not sure whom's checked it out or whatever, but it's there. It's there. That's all I can do for you folks. Same with those of you that are invited in from the potential CTFO audience. When, if, where, how, your personal schedules, when you see this, whatever. I'm sure you're not seeing it as I'm dictating it, I'm sure. Thus is why you can retrieve them like you can any movie, any entertainment venue, any YouTube video, any movie online, books online, other companies' videos, they're talking about their selected commodities, other podcasts, other, whatever. There's a multitude of podcast shows, radio shows, whatever, obviously. And I don't know, 95% of them are obviously on there to promote their own wares, obviously. We're all trying to preserve a capitalistic society, and that's exactly what America is and should be. I don't know, if that's an evil word nowadays or whatever. What is wrong with capitalism? It's a good, thriving way to try to rejuvenate an economy. What's wrong with small businesses trying to bring something to the economy, especially if they're ethical, and especially if all they're trying to do is help somebody? There is no magic wand. There is no magic potion. There is no pill, potion, shampoo, rub, cream, ointment, including mine and all of these manufacturers And most of us have that in our mission statement, saying that, including that nothing cures anything, to protect that universal waiver. You know, to me it's monotonous that, and probably for you too, to me it's monotonous that I feel as though I have to say that every single time that I'm on air. I feel as though I've said it enough, and it's in the opening paragraph of all of my websites and or first page or what have you, should you care to go there to find out. Okay, the other thing I wanted to clear up besides pointing to stuff, I'm getting some really good questions too. Now understand, you know, even negative comments to some degree or whatever, they're all good and fine, and I can chew those up and spit them out and all that kind of stuff. And sometimes that's how both parties learn, and I've had those happen in years past, and you walk away like best friends once you can clear the air, if that's possible to do so. So all I ask is, other than the evildoers that we all get every single day and that will come to all of our respective websites, as you well know, every day, and the robots that come to all of our websites every day, as we all know, well, that's never going to go away, unfortunately. So excluding them, that we're always going to get, right? You guys all have spam file and whatever protection device and all of that, right? So I don't think that's insightful or fictitious or whatever. So under that premise, and I've said many times, I'm as much of a curiosity seeker as anybody. I'm a human being too, also, and I'm also a consumer. Might surprise everybody on both accounts, but I am. I'm the biggest curiosity seeker out there. I go to everybody's website every day to trying to find out, what am I missing? What am I doing? Is it right? Is it wrong? Is Tommy's radio better than Jackie's? We all do that. That's only fair. So there's an element of a curiosity seeker that has to come out of curiosity to make a determination of, whoops, I don't want to go there for sure, or geez, I'm glad I came here, or somewhere in between. That's a viable business like any business, you know, whatever. Everybody that comes into Tommy's butcher shop or whatever, well, they don't all buy product and they don't all buy from Tommy. That's just the reality of it. I get all that. I've been doing this long enough to know that. What I ask for respectfully is, if you're just coming to critique it in and of itself, be it positive, I love that. I mean, thank you. I've gotten some good compliments too. Thank you. But if you're coming to critique it because you think I said a wrong word or whatever, I respect your opinion. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, what have you. But if that's your motivating factor, and only you can answer that, to come to anybody's website or whatever to strictly be negative in and of itself, I would respectfully ask you to go to those multitude of venues that are out there that are obviously geared to the negativity, and you'll be in good company with many fellow compadres. I would suggest that you please do that. That's all. Nothing is for everybody. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I don't know where I've ever said that it was, or... So, if you are of that ilk, that's your issue or whatever, but please, go somewhere else with that, is what I respectfully ask. And I'll tell you why on two accounts. This is a business to whatever degree or however you perceive it or whatever. But I try to do it ethically, transparently, and it is a business, so I have to be conferring with people that have an interest in my business. Just like they would have a business interest in whatever they do, wherever else they do it. It would be the same for that respective proprietor-customer relationship as with my existing customers I've had for years. Some of them no longer with us because of the longevity of it, and one that I've talked about before that I'm quite concerned, unfortunately, might be under the same premise and or is debilitated at best. In a crazy analogy, I can't find that out. I'm working on that. But the point being is I've had relationships with these people in some instances, 20 years, approaching 25 in some instances. So the validity of a client base or whatever is real. You guys can decide that. Okay, so all around the board in this podcast again, thank you. But you came here. If you did come here, this is my podcast show. So, continuing the point behind me, again, whoever's been afforded the time to come here and or first time visit, whatever. I've been talking about these products for, a couple of weeks now. Tourmaline Water, Family Water Share Program, cases of, that's them. Individual bottle, half-liter bottle, that's the size that I'm marketing. It's obviously available in the liter bottles. I'm marketing the half-liter. That's what I just bought a pallet of, so I will market those first, thank you. Seth and I are right on the money on that. He knows what I'm saying. He has access to these shows. I just emailed him about my other ones. We are in communique. We are both busy. I'm sure his is way more matriculated for obvious reasons, but I'm pretty matriculated myself as well. So, you're going to have to take that at face value. That's the best I can give you. He's told me he will be on the show, and we're working on scheduling in May. So, I guess hang in there with us, and soon you'll hear it from the horse's mouth to no insult to Seth. And he knows that. The author's mouth. You crazy people, okay? Those of you that are. It's just a figure of speech. Before you guys tell me I called them horseface or some crazy stuff. Okay, thank you. The other stuff that I'm pointing to randomly, Ada's Custom Paw Pad Butters. My clients know this. You've bought the product over the last couple of years. So we've been doing that for about 3 years to whatever degree. And we have had some success. Look at the testimonial pages. That goes back to why I carry 3 websites now. 3, count them, 1, 2, 3. One's for my granddaughter. I'm kind of conferring. She's an 11-year-old kid. Is she hands-on? And of course not. Of course not. It's a principle. It's a method. It's a lesson. It's teaching her about other aspects and so forth. But it's teaching her about a couple of commodities that are going to be so alive and well in her life in early adulthood as well as her peers. Thus is why I also talk about healthy food, clean water, the sources of. I've talked a lot about soil degradation, drying aquifers. Again, there's an audience that knows that. There's an audience that believes that. There's an audience that thinks that's totally hooey, cooey. Great. That's what I just respectfully asked. Those that align themselves remotely with the concept of these products, whether you ever buy them from me. I've said that so many times over the years. I'm a happy camper if you get good products and get some semblance of relief for yourself, your pet, your plants, and the planet, and whoever falls in your food chain. Aunt Louise, Cousin Mary, your best friend, the guy next to you in the cubicle where you work, whatever. That's a sincere thing from me. That's the best I can do from you. And, the 3 Ps and all those old marketing adages and all of that stuff, I'm that old that I had that for breakfast with no insult, no arrogance, no anything. I'm an old man. I happen to have had some life experience. That's all that it means. With you crazy people, really, seriously. Obviously, if I was 19, standing here speaking to you, well, it would be the same premise that I would tell you, well, as of yet, at 19, if I was, and I was telling you that, well, I haven't had the opportunity yet, saying that as a potential 19-year-old man to help you guys out. Well, obviously, I wouldn't have the life experience at that point. I don't know. Does that make you a madman, a liar, a naysayer, or a bad person, or you said something wrong? I don't get that part of it. So, again, I've been transparent. I've done documentation. In a moment, I'm going to go so far, again, at a suggestion of somebody that I value tremendously. So it's the only reason I would ever do that. To me, it's overkill and it's kind of moronic, in my opinion. But all this transparency and all of that, okay, I gave you a whole lineage of it and how to get there if you choose to go there to find that out. I talked about the independent test. There's a video on ADA's website. I've referenced it a multitude of times. Go there and find out, or not, but it's there. And that's in depth about the ISO report that I told you about, and Mike Adams and the ISO labs. Well, that's all real, and so is the report that I got back. So you can find that information out for yourself. There's plenty of roadmaps and ways to do it. Just take the initiative to do it, or not. Okay, thanks. And that's the same premise on this CTFO hemp oil business opportunity. It's exactly what the words that I just said. It's an opportunity. And this is going to be the last time I say this too, because I've said it. And if you guys have watched the show, it's redundant. If you haven't heard it, you heard it now. And if you care to go back to document what I just said, well, you'll have heard it several times by going back to hear it. Okay? If you choose to click on the video that I've been trying to direct everybody to go to of their own volition, I'm not behind you with a club or whatever. But have an appreciation for what it is if you do not know what it is and you haven't clicked on it and you're pre-anticipating. That's only fair. Here's what it is, as honestly as I can tell you. It's a webinar. At that entrance point, right then and there, what it does, like lots of websites, businesses, it's an informational video about what the company is, what you can do, whatever. They don't right there ask you for anything because it's an informational video. You go as far within that as you choose to do by opening up the gate. But it's what tells you the innards, the makeup, the tick, what makes it tick, how it works, if it works, if it's your cup of tea or whatever. But again, and I know we all get guilty by association, and I just said I make those assumptions every day too. That's because of this crazy society we're in. We run scared for all those reasons. You do, I do. I'm a human being, you're a human being, we're citizens, we're in this together, one way or the other. The alignments on philosophies or whatever, well, that's all what makes us all different. But we are of the same race. Without getting into all that crazy stuff that you guys get into. We are of the same race as far as human race. For all you crazy people out there. Human race, okay? All right. So if you click on that webinar of your own free volition, of your own time, of your availability, if you want to, how you want to, while you're taking a bath or working out or laying on your couch or driving to work or however you do those things during your workout or whatever, if you click on that button, it's a webinar. No credit card information. They don't ask you that. There's no Social Security stuff. They don't front load you right there. Okay, you click now. You got 1,400 of these coming, and we're going to do it tomorrow at 4 o'clock or whatever crazy stuff. It's not that one. Now, let me finish the story, and thank you. Now, like almost any business website or whatever, if you take it to phase 2 of your own volition, Well, I guess the assumption would be you can only answer that. I guess you're clicking it because you want to go to the next phase. I guess. So by doing that, be forewarned, bad choice of words, well, yeah, then it's like, okay, pick your store, pick whatever. You're looking for purple pocketbooks or shovels or whatever. Well, at the time you get to the checkout, like any of them, well, of course they're going to ask you for credit card information and whatever at that juncture. Of course, because you're a potential customer ready to check out, as in your local grocery store or whatever. And then, like some of us have to do, been there, done that. If you get up in the front and forgot your wallet in the grocery store, or oh my God, I can't afford the milk or whatever, and none of those are funny, by the way. It's my crazy sense of humor because I've been there. Okay, it's kind of like that. You can walk away. I mean, nobody's handcuffing you, or oh my God, and all that. So, again, for those of you that might not be aware of this, if you click on the webinar, it is a potential lead generation for me, like any of those sites, because you fill in your email address. Isn't that behooving or bewildering or oh my God, everybody does that one. Everybody. Go check it out. You know that. Okay. Then, hear me out, because I said this before too. There's like 600,000 sales reps for this company. More than that. It changes on the hour. So I posed the question because I've heard it out there. Basically, you have to do your investigative work on your own volition to find out what your options are and disseminations and your choices. But basically, all 600,000 of us have the same website to start out with, which is free in every sense of the word. I've had the website free. I don't pay any charges on it or whatever. That's a fact, Jack. I'm telling you the truth. Since last June, whatever that is now, 10 months ago. So it is free. I mean, I'm here to tell you that it is free. Okay? I've also shared with you that as far as my part on the business opportunity, for a lot of reasons that I've talked about, if you join in, that I constantly have to self-sustain my sole proprietor business that I had to do for years, way before CTFO. Okay? So I had to take a hiatus from where I started in June. I've talked about that. So my commissions to this juncture, for a lot of contributing reasons, have been $16.32. Okay? Had I been able to stay and all that had, and I just told you can't live in the past. I work a different way. You're closing chapters. At the same time, the previous chapters of the book, if you will, as you read your favorite novel, well, also, obviously, that's the prelude, the saga, the ongoing journey, or whatever, in pretty much any book, right? You can fast forward and read the last chapter. You can do that. But, I don't know, were the first 15 chapters kind of telling you what the conclusion was? I have no idea. So all these crazy analogies, they're my analogies. It's the best way that I can try to tell everybody. But the one thing that's documented in business with me, and you can find that out, and please understand what I say, because I've said this before, I do have an A+ rating with Better Business Bureau. That is a fact, Jack, as my business. Okay? That is a fact. What a lot of people get hung up on, because it's been brought to my attention, you're absolutely correct when you say, I don't have the Better Business Bureau moniker on my website's plural. You're 1,000% correct. Now, had you had the opportunity to do your research, or you may have known this, I had the moniker for several years. The moniker is one of the many things I encompassed over the last 6 months of last year that I talked about earlier here. of how I was aspiring to the business. It's a business expense, folks. You have to pay to get the moniker that shows you have the designation. But hear me out now, please. Because I don't have the moniker, because I basically can't afford it, it does not mean I don't have the designation. Please understand that difference. Do your homework. You do your homework on all these other people and who's who and what they did and where they lived and all these cameras, and you know everything about everybody. You should know that too. Everybody knows everything about everybody, right? We all get spammed and scammed every day, right? I mean, do I dream this stuff up? Do you guys call your financial institutions because, you know, it's been impugned or it's under integrity alert or whatever? I mean, I don't know. Do you guys have that happen? Do you guys, when you call the ABC company, do you hear elevator music? Do you talk to 27 people and, you know, 13 of them you just had to repeat the same story to or whatever? And then they're telling you yes to part of your question or no, or I'm sorry, Mr. Jones, you don't have an account with us or whatever, and you walk away scratching your head. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I live in some third world or something. I don't know. But I think that's a fair assessment that to some degree we all experience that. Okay, I rambled on in one of these shows earlier today about one of my blog talk shows and Dr. Amen, as opposed to Amen. I've heard about that too. I mispronounced the man's name. My humblest apologies. Won't be the first time, won't be the last time. There's days when I don't know my own name. That's another story. It's got to do with what I've talked about. All my own afflictions. But that's another story. Okay, Dr. Amen, who in my opinion, is indeed the guru of anything about the brain. I don't know. You guys decide for yourself. But what is documented, I didn't make it up. If you don't know this, go watch the video. Go watch his history, whatever. I'm not making it up that he wrote, I don't know, 10 books, 14 books. I probably got that wrong. Go find out. Watch his videos. Watch his own products that he sells, okay? He's a capitalist, too. And capitalist is great. Understand the word capitalist, you crazy people. Okay? And understand the connotations of words that might have multiple definitions. You guys get hung up in all this crazy stuff sometimes. So, in that said blog talk show, like at the very last 13 minutes of it, for whoever goes to that point, if you care to, if you have, or whatever, that is Dr. Amen. I'm sorry. I'll call him the wrong name. Daniel. Okay, that is his first name. I don't know him, but hey, Daniel, out of full respect, instead of butchering your last name, Dr. Daniel. Dr. Daniel A. Dr. Amen. In that particular expose video, I'm sure in your respective townships or whatever, you probably have seen Dr. Amen on public TV and so forth, books, videos, or whatever. Again, ubiquitous audience. I have no way of knowing what you do know, how you know it, if you know it, who you know, or whatever, unless you care to, edify me on that fact by contacting me or something. So, Dr. Amen, in that particular expose, I'm trying to find out about my own brain. I've talked a lot about that. And, that gets repetitious or whatever. But, I suffered head trauma and all this crazy stuff when I was a kid. Great, awesome, lots of people do, and all of that. It's not that type of a thing. But I'm trying to know about all this stuff I've done my whole life and why I do it and how I do it. And I talked about the dental amalgam fillings, and the clinicians and people involved in the industry told you about vapors and stuff. Well, that's not pretend, folks. It's not pretend. Fortunately, because I take these healthy medicines and so forth, I abate it to some degree. I never said cure, but I will swear on a stack of Bibles, because I know my body, I would have been in much more frequent and severe pain than I have been. That is a fact, Jack. I just got done discussing this with my dentist, I don't know, 2 Tuesdays ago, until I go see him next for my next part of that equation. I told you how the oral surgeon, or whatever his classification is, my bad, that yanked my amalgam teeth out of my head, while he was doing it, I talked about this with Trina on air, about her tooth powder. He did indeed say to me, your adjacent teeth seem so strong. While he's pulling out broken amalgam fillings from the 60s, I've also re-verified and said that online it has nothing to do with my present dentist, as in recently retired, and present dentist, the heir apparent to the business. Both outstanding dentists, great. They have nothing to do with my amalgam fillings. I've said that. It goes back to the 60s when I was, I don't know, 9 years old. And I talked about that particular dentist. Who cares? But it's a fact, Jack. He was less than reputable for lots of reasons. He literally got driven out of town. Who cares? But he was an inadequate, inefficient dentist all the way around, and he just threw amalgam fillings in my humble opinion, probably in 5 teeth that I didn't even need them. He was that much of a crock. Okay? All right, so great. Now fast forward, whatever. Well, I was 64 years old last year when I was in the chair. Okay, so let's say I was 9. I don't exactly remember my age that far back, but I was certainly not a teenager. How's that? So let's say I was 10. Let's round it up. Okay, 10 from 64. How much is that? I'm being a wise guy now. Quick, how much is that? All right, so 54 years, give or take. Okay, half century. Fair enough? Well, every time you chew with amalgam in your head, while it's in your head, each individual chew, whether you do it 32 times or whatever that magic number is, well, multiply that times X number of meals per week, per day, per month, times 54 years. Wow, a lot of infusion of mercury, huh? It contaminates your food with each chew. Okay, now, fast forward, you get them yanked out of your head. It's a given fact. It's a documented fact. Not just to me. When you pull them out, you heard Michael King talk about it. I'm not sure if it's his wife or whatever. Who cares? I think it's his life partner, whatever. Who cares? Barbara. I offend no one. I know these guys at a different level. I don't know them personally, so I don't even know how to say that. His life partner, okay, whatever. But Barbara, he heard him talk about that. She had amalgam teeth taken out, and she got saved by her own product, Sacred Clay. You heard Trina Felber say how great she loves the Sacred Clay. These are people that are all in the business for the same reason. Of course, they want to see their cash registers ring. I mean, of course. But they're also ethical, passionate, and they believe in what they're doing, and they are providing clean, natural substances. Whether you concur or not is up to you. But you would never know, regardless if you buy them from me or buy them direct. I have that agreement with all my people because I want to see you get the products, preferably from myself. But, if you wind up getting the product, I'm happy, especially if you concur it works for you when you get it to do so. Kathy Denell, Vicac, and I, we're all good. You call her, you call me, whatever. But you got to know the parameters. They have their own businesses to run, too. They don't just kit glove me individually. So, they'll let me know if you did call them direct, but that's kind of the premise of Ada's website, not to be a wise guy. I mean, that's kind of why, and it's kind of why we do any affiliate program, like any of you that do affiliate programs. So the options are yours if you choose to find out about them and the ways of implementation. We're pretty diversified in that. That goes to one of my many monikers, and I've told you before, there's monikers that I can't exchange in public. Okay. But one of my business monikers, one of the many, is Creative Solutions for Holistic Healthcare Products distribution. Hopefully creative in the name that I picked. I don't know if I am or not. That's for you guys. But the BA Sales 5025 program, that's mine. I created that. Good, bad, and different. Nobody in the industry does that. Nobody. Nobody, nobody, nobody. That's documented. Read about it, try it out. I have several customers that do. Here, for somebody that hasn't heard that, it's the numeral 50/25. The 50 numeral signifies a 50% discount on my rockweed powder kelp, period. No other brand, no other strain, no other anything. Rockweed kelp powder. That's what I'm offering at 50% off, whether that's a shoe that fits your situation or whatever. Just like in your bakery, if you have one, that your cream rolls are Mrs. Jones's favorite, but overall they don't sell to Mrs. Jones's cousin and everybody else in the neighborhood. Crazy analogies, but you kind of understand what I'm saying, right? So my choice, my shop, my product, my offering of discount, yep, it's applicable to one strain and one strain only. But it's 50% off should you choose to exercise that. The 25 number is 25% off of any other item I stock on any of my websites, blogs. I do instant blog sales, all that kind of crazy stuff. If you partake in that, you have to contact me. So please listen. I've said we shut off on words and all that kind of stuff. Please listen, and I'll explain how that program works and why it works to save you money. I don't have those kind of signs at my checkout system. Here's coupon code 27 or whatever. No aspersions on those that do have those things. Use coupon number 5 or whatever. You guys know what I'm talking about. Here's what you do. If you decide to do my cost savings, to include my customer rewards and incentives program, which also offers another whole series of incentives to include 4, count them, 4 distinct auto ships. 4, nobody does that. So there are ways, should you choose to exercise the options, that you even have deeper discounts. Here's what you have to do to enjoy them, to facilitate my website checkout system, not your website checkout system, mine, is you simply email me. And you say, Bill, in my examples, you get the point. Bill, I want 1 jar of sacred clay. I want to exercise the 25% discount. But here's the deal. I called Michael direct to order it. Now what do? Well, you can do 2 things by doing that if you read about it. When you place an order with Michael Direct, if you choose to do it that way, and or by my private label, which saves you money because of the fact Michael obviously knows this. He supplies it to me. We have that agreement. So it's your option. If you go to him direct, here's what you can be availed if you choose to do it this way. You just say, however you need to say it. You can simply say, hi, I'm calling. I heard about this from Bill Holt. I heard about it from Grandpa Bill. BA Sales, Kennel Kelp. Keep it simple, but you should make that announcement, because if you don't, here's what doesn't happen. Well, let me go to what does happen if you do that. If you mention that, now hear me out, please. They do not initiate what I just told you. What they do, because you identified me, my company, you found out about it through me, whatever, is if you buy the product that you're inquiring and or ordering from them, this is why you're calling them, as you order their products at their respective discounting special sales or whatever, they've always got sales or whatever. I don't run their company. So you'll be able to enjoy their price advantages should you decide to do so. And because you announced that you found out about them, if you didn't already know them, from me, okay, they not only give you their obvious own in-house discounts, they give you a free gift. of their choosing. It's their inventory, but it is a free gift, and it will be an alternate product of the one that you're ordering. Now go figure this out. Go deep on this now. I insult no one, but why would they do that? Obviously to introduce you to a further breadth of their product, right? Good, fair, ethical, logical, good business model. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. That's good business. But that's what you're availed. Okay, now you've done that for sake of this discussion. And you just asked me, well, don't order the Sacred Clay from Michael. If you want the 25% unique to that product, if he doesn't have it on sale for 30% off. You understand what I'm saying? So it gives you two options right there. Okay, so now because you want two different products, you order their, I don't know, Brain Power, which I'm going to talk about. Great product. Different product, you're great, you get a free product from them under that premise. Now, to get your virtual voucher that you can use anytime, hopefully within 5 years or something crazy like that. When I say anytime, don't let it collect dust. I mean, use it, but you don't have to use it next Tuesday. It's not 30 days. You don't have to do it in an hour or any of that crazy stuff. And it is virtual, which means you do not get a hard copy. I don't mail you coupons or what. It's virtual. So you email me after you've placed your order with Michael through this example. You simply tell me their invoice number, which they certainly will tell you, and you'll get a copy of what you just ordered from them, right, as a receipt or whatever. You convey that to me. All that documents is that you did what I asked you. I can't just randomly give everybody virtual vouchers because they said they did something. Now, isn't that an awful statement in this crazy world? But tell me that doesn't happen, right? It's a business for me too, folks. I mean, I have to run a business. So if you play the game the proper way, by your own volition to choose to do so, the proper way now, come on, the proper way. Not the scammy way or trying to get something for nothing or pull a fast one or any of that kind of crazy stuff. My brain's pretty well gone, but let me tell you, I'm right on top of the game when it comes to that kind of stuff. So go away and don't do that. You're wasting your time under that premise. So if you do it legitimately, you really want the products, you really care about them, here's the other thing that you should consider. And when Michael gets on my show to do so, he has free reign. I suggested this to him. He has a thriving consultation business as well about his products. Sometimes calling them direct just to make the inquiry, which they welcome with open arms. There's a Mason-Dixon line there of their own, I mean, they're not going to give away the shop informational-wise or whatever. It's not a free helpline or what have you. Understand what I'm saying? But they will consult with you and introduce you to the product if you're totally unfamiliar with it, tell you its attributes, what it works for, what it doesn't, what's in it, so on and so forth. Then, if you choose to do so, if you are really struggling with weight, a diet, or whatever your situation is, Michael is well-versed, obviously, in the products and his success ratio with his thriving account base. And he does have a consult business. That is an option. So I tell my clients, I know these products pretty well. I do. I mean, I do. But I don't know them to that level because Michael's products contain many blends through ingredients, including my own, which I've talked about. He buys my kelp powders. Not every single one of them. We're talking about that. Michael and I are looking at that. We're looking at that. These are just business things, folks. Some of them materialize, some of them don't, but they have to start somewhere, including the Tourmaline water. You've heard him if you listened. He gave a very nice positive accolade on here to the Tourmaline water. Doesn't surprise me, but he did, and that was of his own free will and all that crazy stuff. I wasn't behind him with a monkey wrench and, if you don't do this, I'm going to club you over the head or what kind of crazy stuff you guys do think sometimes, if you heard it. Same with Trina Felber. Okay? She gave a nice accolade to the water, to the 10X Pure, and to the Sacred Clay. And for the millionth time, lots of you, of course, know Trina Felber. The one thing that you may or may not know about her, depending on your degree of business dealings and so forth, if it was inferior or whatever, and not insultingly so, she's a professional. She would definitely have said that as well. Trust me on that one. In a very professional assessment that, hey, Bill, this isn't, right now, or, I've seen better I think my product X is, you heard what she said. Okay, so that was like Monday of last week, I think. It certainly was less than 2 weeks ago. Okay, so when I say there's business things on the proverbial drawing board, that's exactly what they are. I mean, they're not even in their infancy yet. I mean, come on, it was a week ago. But there's interest to the degree of we can have potential to have other conversations and whatever. And again, it took me 9 years because of her matriculated schedule to get her to talk on air, not because she was mad or affronted or didn't want anything to do with me, but come on, man, I accept the reality of it too. I am who I am, and I'm of the stature that I am. I don't take offense at that. I mean, my God, she's been on Dr. Oz, CBS, ABC. I don't even know how many podcasts, including her own, lots. It's a success story that's amazing. And every woman, not to be sexist or whatever, and man, should admire that woman. But all women should admire her. And I admire women in that regard. And I've said that any number of times in my business life before. You guys are, for the most part, as in women, calmer, more composed, more regimented. I'll be the first to admit that. And you don't have to wear gold chains and be running the lounge lizard either, okay? That's a joke. Lighten up. It's a joke. Or you Lenny the lounge lizards, okay? It's a joke. Live that in a former life too, okay? Get real. Alright, we're continuing to talk randomly about stuff I got around me. This is kind of a chart on the workout that I just showed you. I don't have benches and equipment. I freestyle. I mostly stretch. I do a lot of glorified yoga because I've taken that formally before too. And I can't afford to do that. There's realities. That's also why I'm trying to do the business opportunity when it gets that far. But I'm already doing the business opportunity. I talked about that. I have the product infused in 2 products already. That's doing the business. It's on my website. I've talked about that. But on my website, it's full retail, just like it is on most websites across the country. If you choose to go to the dedicated website, if you choose to do so, well, if you're interested in the product and, put the business part of it aside, well, you can become a customer and save 25% if you choose that option. I don't know. I mean, they're options, folks. And I told you, rest assured, if you click on my website, it's full retail. I mean, that's the way it is, brother. And I've also told you how you have to initiate getting the special discounts. And I've never screwed anybody over. I will do it. That's how you have to initiate it. I mean, you have to take a little tiny bit of initiative. So you have to send me what you bought from those vendors, blah, blah, blah. The invoice, what it was. That documents that you did it the way I asked you to do it. That's protecting myself, like any business would attempt to do. Right? I can't just randomly get calls and like, oh yeah, I called him and I bought some chopsticks or whatever. Well, great, but did you? If you do it the way I asked you to do it, yeah, you did. Now you're entitled to what I'm offering. That's only fair. That's only how, whatever, if you go buy a car, their service agreement is set up like blah, 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 and whatever, right? If you take that lease or that car or that option package or that service package or whatever you guys want to, right? You're doing it because you're convinced, I guess. So it's the same premise. For the last time, all I am in that regard, I use these crazy analogies, but it's the best one I can come up with because it is a movie. I told you that 5,000 times. It's a webinar movie. Okay, I'm the guy at the turnstile. Pick your movie theater in your local town, USA. If you roll or whatever, you get my point. Wherever the movie theater is closest to your proximity or whatever, you're coming into the movie theater. I'm the guy at the turnstile. I'm going to take your ticket to make sure you paid. That's my job, if you will. As you're going through the turnstile, I'm simply telling you, here's the movie, whatever. I don't even know titles of movies these days. Pick one. That's what's playing in Studio A, and depending on the number of studios or whatever, here's what's in B, C, D, A, Q, P, elemental P, whatever. That's all I'm doing. Your option is go into Studio A if you want to. That's what's playing there. So on and so on and so forth. You still have the option so far in today's world, as far as I know. You can go in the door, you can come out the door. You can go in the lobby and spend your whole time on your cell phone if that's what you guys all do. I talked about that. I went to my granddaughter's track meet, and I still don't know how most of the parents saw how little Jimmy did in their respective races. They were all on their cell phones. Now, at the same time, I've claimed I'm not that savvy on any of that. I'm not. Maybe they were taking pictures and just weren't looking up, but I'm not sure about that. So that's all good, too. That's all good. I don't understand any of that either. That's because I'm an old man. So I guess I should say that because I also went to a movie with my granddaughter, and gospel truth, that's what half of them did. They were on their cell phones while they were at the movie, which I think you're not supposed to do or whatever. I don't know any of that anymore. But in any event, that's all I'm telling you is where the movie's playing and what it is. If you go in, punch the ticket, whatever crazy analogy you guys might know. But if you don't know that, by not clicking on it, I just told you. Believe it, don't believe it, but you have to click it to find out. It's a webinar. Last time, webinar. It's informational. It's where you want to take it from there, but they don't just open up on the screen. Yep, welcome aboard. We got 14 cases coming here tomorrow. What's your credit card, Social Security? How much blood do you have? What's your blood type? All that crazy stuff. None of that. None of that. Unless you choose to take it to step 2, 3, or so forth. I don't know how to present it any better than that. I'll share with you what I'm going to show you. I've had so many ventures. I've failed just like all of us. Just like all of us that are honest, that have ever been self-employed or tried to, or start companies or ventures or whatever. I've heard the word no so many times in my life. It's part of my regime. It's part of what I chose for a profession. And back when I was actively doing it, I told you guys, it's nobody's fault or whatever, but it's real. It's the differences in age and time frame. Everything was different then. I go back pre-internet for the most part, and certainly in the infancy of the internet and the bells and whistles and the phones and all of that. And I've said, that's one of the biggest attributes of this company, what they offer in your back office with all those tools. And I've said, if I had those 40 years ago, you'll have to trust me, I would be a billionaire today. With those kind of tools, then it was just a different time. It just is what it is. Like if you talk to your grandfather or my grandfather, like what was it like in the 30s or whatever time frame? Of course everything was different. Of course. So I exchanged with you about Talk America, big call center and all that crazy stuff. Yep, right here in Portland, Maine. Portland, Maine, at one point in time, just for your FYI information, did a lot of infomercials and whatever, the ones you see after midnight. It was a distribution center for many of them. The orders that you placed were actually filled here on several products over the years, to include Netflix. I don't know if we are still the distributor in South Portland, Maine. I may stand corrected on that, but we were. South Portland, Maine. Yep, Fat Jack. Did and or still does distribute Netflix. Oh, isn't that amazing? So Talk America, who back in the day had some big-time notoriety. Okay, I mentioned some names. Some of them probably are dead. That's how long ago it was. I think one of them's still in jail, Kevin Trudeau. Y'all know Kevin Trudeau, right? I didn't put him in jail. I didn't make up the statement. I mean, I believe he had to go to jail, right? Whatever his story is with his books and all of that. Well, in any event, His series of books, packages, or whatever was one of the many featured items at Talk America at the time. I've talked about Howard Bergman, who I think is still alive, and I think he still has the designation, the world's fastest reader. And I'll tell you something, it was valid, and he is, and his technique worked, but that's neither here nor there. I used it myself. But anyway, and then there were all these math programs and pills and potions and all that kind of stuff. It was a call center. I exchanged that with some of you guys if you'd listen to it. You had the option of inbound, outbound during your shift. Most evenings that I worked, third shift, and weekends, to fit it in with doing my job at that time or whatever. So, I talked about how then it wasn't so much that it was a boiler room operation. Please understand when I say this, but it was a massive building. It used to be a great big huge department store here in Portland. For those of you that are in the neighborhood listening, you know exactly what I mean. It was huge. And there was like thousands of these individual cubicle workstations all up and down the length of the building from the front door to the back. And I think they even had stations on an upstairs level. That might be testing my old man memory, but it was huge. So I also intimated that because at that time frame, yes, they had office petitions. I also was in that business once upon a time. But it wasn't sophisticated, advanced sound accoutrement panels and all of that. You were in open air, and I talked about that. Even me being deaf, and I was then, because that's a childhood injury, whatever. I could hear people in proximity as they could myself, and so on, and so on, and so on, down the 1,000 cubicles, if you will. So it was constantly chatter, buzz around, background. You were hearing Timmy, Timmy was hearing you, Jane, Sally, Kevin, Peter, Tom, Joey, Fred, Harry, you pick the names, you get my point. I exchanged one story in particular. There was this guy, Dave. I don't remember his last name. It was like 40 years ago. But I do remember we had some fun away from the job, two young men, enjoying life and all that kind of stuff. But we worked damn hard while we were there, blah, 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 blah. So, again, being able to hear everybody's conversations because of the proximity, there wasn't good soundproofing, all of that kind of stuff back in the day. So I'm listening, not necessarily, I just couldn't help hear it. Again, even with my bad ear. So Dave was in this dissertation, and I believe it was for a weight control product, again, 40 years ago. I'm making up the recipient customer that called in's name. I had no way of knowing that or remembering that. We'll say his name was Charlie. Well, you weren't privy to hearing what Charlie was actually, saying to Dave, the sales rep, but you could discern it by Dave's comments. Case in point. Thanks for bearing with me. We're selling some kind of diet pill or potion. I do recall that. Okay, well, I'm in my station because I was transferring from doing inbound calls to outbound or vice versa. And there was a way you had to plug that in. It was crazy. It was antiquated, okay? And then you had to process your own orders that you might have accumulated up until that point. So you took a moment between changing, from being inbound to outbound to process your own orders. There was no button. There was no, you go to the central computer. Again, it just wasn't there yet. It's not a bad thing. It's a real thing. Okay, so hang with me. So Dave's proceeding to talk, to Charlie. Okay. So, right out of the blue, and, we all have techniques and all that. I've talked about that at length. I might not agree with his technique. It doesn't matter. He might have not agreed with mine. Listen to what I'm saying, please. So you could tell, you couldn't hear Charlie's conversation, but Dave said, well, that's okay, Charlie, my name, okay. That's okay, Charlie. I'll hold for you. I distinctly heard him say that. Meaning that the man had to, go to get his method of payment is what it ultimately was about. And apparently the man lived in a multi-level house or whatever, his trousers or, I don't know that length of the discussion, but his wallet and method of payment was apparently upstairs in his house, domicile, cabin, whatever. So Dave was saying, that's okay, Charlie, go ahead and get it. You could discern that, but from what he said, then you could hear Dave say, because he said this out loud. He said, Charlie, you just exchanged with me that you're calling us because you're extremely overweight. Your comment, Charlie, you told me that. I didn't ask you or whatever. Agreed? And apparently Charlie concurred that he did tell him, I think he weighed in excess of 450 pounds. Okay, hear me out. I might not have agreed with this Dave. He might have been a little tough on this guy and what have you. But listen, please, to the core message, because he did have a valid point. The approach might not have been correct. I distinctly heard him say, all right, Charlie, now you're telling me you have to go up and get your wallet and what have you, and I told you I would gladly hold for you, but you're hemming and hawing and kind of doing everything in the world but going to get your wallet. So I've got to say, could that be part of your problem, Dave, as to why you're overweight? Can you explain to me why you can't go get the wallet? I mean, not to be insulting, but are you that physically huge or large or whatever that you can't manipulate the stairs or whatever? However, you must have came down them. So again, his thing might have been rough around the edges or whatever, but maybe he had a semi-valid point. I think the guy was doing everything in his power to just say, well, I'll do it another time, or it's not convenient, or I can't go upstairs, or whatever. Now, understand, this was an inbound call. So Charlie did reach out for supposed help or whatever. So I don't know if Dave did it the best way or whatever, but he might have had a valid point on that. Here's the other part and parcel of how we made our money in those days. Okay, you made money on the sale, of course. Here's the rub, and any of you guys that have ever done this back in that time frame, or maybe even still, you made your money in the upsell package. Surprise? They all do that, right? You've been on the other end of those calls, right? Okay, Mrs. Jones, that's wonderful that you just bought this math book or whatever. Now, if you bought the workbook and, your little Timmy could learn math in 3 weeks and this is all self-explanatory, you had the upsell package, all legit. It's all legit. It was all above board. It's a fine business model, but that was the model. And that's how you made it. That's how you made. Now, speaking of ethical, unethical, whatever, we had another young lady that you couldn't help it over here. She would just say, and your upsell package is on your way, and hang up. I don't know what her return rate was, and the recipient said, I never ordered this. What the hell's going on? But I'll bet you she slipped a couple through is the point. I don't know. I probably would disagree with that approach, but that was real. She did, and she would light up the numbers in the scoreboard. I don't know if that was the proper way or whatever, but that's what she would do. Okay, now that you ordered that, know that your upsell package is on its way too. Bye, having a good night. Bang, off it went. So anyway, through my rambling, there would be a guy, a gal, a person, I don't remember, that would literally, during the shift, are you ready? Wheel a mail car, a cart, whatever, a cart, around to all of those substations to collect the orders, a couple of times a night or whatever, but it was a workout. And you know the patterns of those workstations if you get many of them. You're in and out and around corners and up alleyways. When you're doing a lot of them, that's how they picked up the orders to go process them. Yes, there was a computer, okay? But the thing was off in some, other, because it was so huge. That's how long ago the computer. And the room had to be all air conditioned because it was so hot and had to be temperature controlled and all that crazy stuff. Well, that's how we did business in those days. It's just the way it was. So, flashing back, if I was that age that I was then, now, that would be another amazing set of tools that I'm still availed by being part of the program. The back office has great tools. Now, are they universal for all 600 and some odd employees there? Of course not. We all have different methods, and I promote that. Everybody should express individuality because it is your business. Literally, if you choose to make it your business. They are not over your shoulders. I can attest to that. Now, they'll check in, and if you need sponsorship or guidance or help, there's sales meetings and what have you. But nobody does. Seriously, I've lived this long enough, man. Nobody's over your shoulder, and you got to do 35 calls or, any of that crazy stuff. That's why they call it independent associate right on the logo. That's what the word says. And I'll guarantee you, and I'll give you the $47 back if you can prove it. It's like $47 and some change with my old man brain. Let's call it 48 rounding up. It's not 48. It's 47 and some change, which I always screw up. 17 cents or 77 cents. To get on the auto ship, should you choose to do so. That gets you into the pay matrix, should you choose to do so. I mean, if you choose to do the business, I assume you want to get paid. I don't know. Well, that's how you do it. I mean, those are the steps. That's how you do it. Like there's any company in the world that has process A, B, C, D, Q, P, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V. But you will never find a business that you don't have to be responsible for the overhead, the inventory, the packaging, the shipping. Okay. You'll never find your own business for $48 that you do not have to all do those physical things yourself. And man, if I know anything, I'm the living testimonial to that because I've been an independent of my own accord since 1996. And I do all of those things by myself. And it's a bitch. It's hard. And I'm not the only one doing that. Anybody that runs a retail store or whatever, they're working 90 hours a week minimum to keep their store lights on. Right? Am I wrong? Am I wrong? I could be, but I don't know. You have any struggling businesses in your town, city, proximity, down the street, up the street, around the corner, next state, next neighborhood, wherever? I think you would agree that it's happening big time. I don't know, malls in your local area or whatever. How many of the said spaces for rent are indeed for rent? I don't know. I asked the question. How many? There's lots of them in my mall. I know that. And I don't go to the mall. But I know that. I don't know, folks. It's an option. So I get stuck in the dichotomy when someone does tell me, and I've had a couple do that. I browbeat no one. I just don't understand it. You are interested, you say you are, and all of that. And everybody's busy. I'm tired of hearing that. All of us are busy. We're all busy. And there's multiple people within the 600,000 people that are at CTFO that also work around the clock and interject this somehow. And there's also, out of 600,000 people, yes, there are some millionaires in the company. That is indeed a fact, Jack. It's not a fallacy. However, of course, not every single person in the company is a millionaire. No one said that. I just told you, my commissions have been $16.32 for a multitude of reasons. But that's what they've been. And there's all variables in between. Some people can jump right in, both feet. Lots have. Lots of people have literally washed their hands of the 8 to 5 thing and said, screw it, I'll take a gamble. I've never said do that. That's all in your comfort zone. I've talked at length with several of you because I know what that's like. I've lived it. I've done it. I just did it for a 10-month stretch. I've told you guys that. Believe it, don't believe it, whatever. That's why I went away from the business for 7 months. You understand? And at that time, all by choice, and I'm self-employed and all that crazy stuff, but I still got to do it. So by doing basically 2 full-time jobs in my friggin' business, which is full-time, I'm no different than any retail proprietor or whatever. Whether the cash registers lighten up or whatever, I still got the 4 open sign up. You know what I'm saying? Like those folks do. That work holidays and Easter Sundays or whatever, and they got to go open their butcher shop after they gag down a meal, to go try to get the next meal or whatever. Any retail venue, man, if they're not big time corporation or whatever, they're fighting to survive. And it's tough for the employees also. I've been that. And I insult no one. It's the example, not the entity. Please get over that. I'm going to say ham sandwich. No reflection on ham sandwiches or anybody that makes them. Please. Understand what I'm saying. If there's a sandwich shop, you pick it. And their specialty's ham and cheese or whatever. Okay. Understand what I am saying, please. Well, there is a limit that you can pay anybody to make the sandwich. I mean, it's no reflection on them as an individual. It's just a fact of cost of doing business. At the same time, that's very hard for a proprietor, too, to say, you know, that Jimmy's a hell of a sandwich maker. Or whatever. He knows everybody. He's personable. He's great at the job. Or what? You know, I don't want to lose him. My God, you know, I've had to go through this before, and the turnover. It's a lot of pressure on the proprietors, too, folks. Because at the end of the day, to keep the lights on and to pay Jimmy themselves and the dishwasher or however extreme it gets in the respective venues, there's not much left on the table for the proprietor either. So the proprietor and the employee, especially in many businesses because there's some damn compassionate people left, also, that are trying to work for their employees and keep them viable. Because you know what? They take on the responsibility and they have the compassion that I'm helping to put food on that man's table, that woman's table, that family's table, to whatever degree I'm allowed to put it on there and that I can afford as a proprietor. There are some people that do think that way, which is refreshing in and of itself, because there's lots more that don't. That's about it in a nutshell. I mean, I don't know how many different ways I can say it, so I'm kind of moving on. Now, for those of you that are in the audience that have been invited and that are affiliated with the company or whatever, I did not say I'm not going to promote it or do it or whatever. I already have 3 people that when I can get 5 minutes more of their time, they live busy lives too, will probably come watch an inside sales training video because they supposedly have that much interest to take it to the next level of the investigative part of it. So at this point, that's all I can ask. I have to bide the tide and wait, and you know, everybody is busy. Everybody. And 2 of the 3 people that are involved to whatever degree basically drive around New England and try to have a semblance of a family life at the end of those respective days and overnight and living out of suitcases or whatever. It's damn hard, man. And they're, you know, compensated and do well and all of that, but it's damn hard. If you get to appreciate the concept of a true, legitimate multi-marketing network marketing business like many of the fine, outstanding models that have existed, Henry Ford being one of them way back when, Avon, Mary Kay Cosmetics, what have you, Arbonne, whatever, all legitimate, real, viable, ethical, good quality products, all of the above. We're not all guilty by association from all of those other ones that are pyramid schemes. Please appreciate the distinction between pyramid and paradigm. The paradigm on our pay plan, that's paradigm, not pyramid. Thank you. Go see for yourself and hear for yourself. That pay matrix is patented. Whether it's for you or whatever, in and of itself, that's a true statement. It's patented. Nobody does that. in the industry. Nobody pays that way. Now, again, nobody's saying you start today and you're making $15,000 next Wednesday. You can. I don't know. I mean, you can. It is attainable. It is doable. There are people that are doing that. Is that the norm? Of course not. Of course not. And, if that upsets somebody at the parent company, well, get real within yourselves. Of course not. Come on now. Come on. But I didn't say that it's not attainable. It obviously is. Everybody has their set of fish, variables, demographics. Lots of people are literally chained to their desks. Literally. Right? In the comfort of your home or whatever. I don't know. Can you say that about your job? Can you say it about your fellow workers? I'll bet you if your company is large enough, you might be as happy as a clam or 5 people down from the workstation. What's the overall consensus in the reality, if you're being true to yourself, in the reality of it all? What's the consensus? And if you are working, especially multiple jobs, you definitely see the people you work with more than you see your own family. Am I right? So most of your ideas, your exchanges in life, your anecdotal stories, talking about the grandkids, what have you, Mary down at that workstation, oh my God, she makes wonderful hand quilts or whatever. Those are all good things. I'm not knocking them. Point being, to some degree, now understand my definition of intimacy. It has many meanings, please. Under that premise, those people on an intimate level, the other connotation of the word, please. More so, not so much more so than your family. You understand my point. Joey at your workstation might know more about what's going on in your life than your partner because you haven't had time to talk to them because they're away on a business trip or you're working a triple shift, or as Joey comes home from work, you're going to work. You get it, right? Am I wrong? I've talked a lot about people not by name or whatever. Everybody knows where I live anyway. Everybody knows where we all live, people. Get real. Get over that, too. They know everything about you. The sooner you learn that, the better off you'll be. There's no hidden secrets anymore or anonymity or any of that. That is gone. They know everything about you. Okay? So, in any event, when I say in my neighborhood, well, I'm not hiding anybody's identity or whatever. Everybody in the world knows where I live. So, in my neighborhood, I didn't say who or by name or whatever. There's several people that come in and out of here all hours of the day and night, literally working their posteriors off around the clock to keep the roof over their heads, to finish their schooling, if indeed that's applicable in whatever their situation is, and probably to try to put the poison that we all go to the grocery store and buy and pay exorbitant prices for. Am I wrong, folks? Do you not say these comments in the confines of your own home? I would beg to differ if you said no. I will never have any way of knowing that unless you tell me that. But I think that's a fair assumption. We all basically, depending on our demographics, financial situation, if we're employed, how we're employed, all of those things. But we all have the commonality that it's a fact, Jack. I mean, if you disagree or whatever, I think in your soul of souls, are you happy with what's in your grocery bag? Are you happy with what you paid for it? And are you happy with the quality of it overall? And can you really, 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 infinity, really, really, really feel comfortable where it came from? Do you know where it came from? Where'd that pepper come from? Do you know the organic farmer? Pepper, as in the vegetable, not shake on pepper. As another, I don't know. Do you know where it came from? Maybe you do. I don't know. Maybe you do. But do you? Do you know how it was treated? Do you know how it was handled? Do you know if it was glyphosate? You would if you went to Mike Adams. Clean food, clean lab, all tested, all documented. Again, an option. Now, is that as expensive? Define expensive nowadays. I mean, What isn't, right? So, in the eyes of the beholder, if you can get a cleaner food, your choice. If you can get a cleaner water, your choice. If you can do it competitively, because I'm going to show you how, if you care to. I just basically did. If you choose to partake in customer rewards and incentives and all of that, you do have to do a tiny bit of legwork. Okay? So if you do that, all the things I'm telling you are as true as the driven snow. Okay? The CTFO, as it says, has a 60-day money-back guarantee. What would you have to lose if indeed you're coming to make an assessment on a product in the first place? Why are you even coming to the website at all? I guess is what I'm asking. If it's a waste of time, you're not in, well, good, move along. Move along. But understand the difference between the products, clearly defined. Understand the documented test analysis that's there. This water that's laden across my chest and behind me, their documentation has been prevalent for years. My independent third-party analysis, for all the reasons that I told you, that I fully expected to get the clean bill of health, if you will, which we did. Surprise, surprise. But the reason I did that, there's your third-party independent analysis right there. And I did that for my clients. And I also did it to put the BS about that company to bed. And guess what? Not me alone, okay? Not me alone. But I think we pretty much shut the proverbial people's mouths that thought they knew something about something that they had no concept of whatsoever. Simply by even going and watching the videos that are not fabricated, the transparency of it, it's right there, folks. It's right there. They hide nothing. And it's been documented, tested, proven. You heard 2 people on my show in less than a month of their own accord, of their own volition, tout the water. So again, there is nothing, including this water. I told you that. I had somebody taste test it, and they didn't do it in an insulting way. They shrugged their shoulders and go, okay, in other words, what's the difference? You know, the implied message, what's the difference? What's the big deal? Whatever. Well, I didn't even go to phase 2. I just simply said, well, that is different than your product. You would agree with that. And they did. But they shrugged their shoulders and said, what's the big deal? Then they also, in a very professional, polite, not insulting, whatever way, said, and I had to chuckle, they did not mean it insultingly. They know you know that it's available locally, and you know that it's, and of course I know that, but how would they know that I knew that? You understand? So it wasn't an insult, but I did say that's kind of why I'm doing it a different way, should it be of interest to whomever. And long story short, in one of my shows, I have somebody that's participating in my program. Because for them, it's not a 127-mile drive or whatever to the Whole Food Market. I told the story that, you know, I gave them whatever, 12 bottles or whatever the head count was, and blah, 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 their boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, you know. And Gino, they said I could use their names. Gino. I didn't say Gino Smith, if that is his name, and it's not. And Kendra. And I didn't say her last name, which is not Jones. So big deal. I got their permission to do so, okay? Long story short, they love the water, and I would have to assume it's the first time they ever tasted it from the way that they reacted to it. They didn't actually say that. Gino, however, did say that through his girlfriend, who conveyed it to me, because she was joking around, like in relationships. And I told you people that. As usual, with my stupid deaf ear, I didn't even hear what she said at first correctly. That's the humor part of it. She knows me from a different life a little tiny bit too. She knows about me being deaf and all that crazy stuff. So, I'll tell you what she really said, but have an appreciation for this. I thought she said, well, Gino's really pissed off. So I said, oh my God, I'm thinking like, well, why the hell would he be pissed off? So I said, well, why is he pissed off? And she just started laughing because she knows me. She goes, that's not what I said, Bill. And I said, oh, okay. I got that wrong too, huh? She said, her speaking, I was pissed off. Adam, yeah, I'm not pissed off, Adam. You understand the relationships. You eat the cupcake and it was for your wife or girlfriend or your life partner or whatever your demographic is, right? Or the oil or whatever. Those are things that happen in every household in the world. Get real, of course, right? So nobody was going to murder someone when she said I was pissed at them or whatever. It was in the connotation. I'll get there. The funny part of the story was she got like one bottle or whatever. She didn't get much of the 12, okay? So she was kind of pissed at him about that in that sense of the word. I guess they pounded him. I mean, 12's not a lifetime supply, but I guess they pounded him right to him. Great, awesome. And he went right into the Whole Foods and bought another case because he liked it so much. His words to his girlfriend was, I'll never drink Poland Spring again. I'm not singling out Poland Spring. It's what he said. I don't have him live on camera, but that's what he said. Okay, for them, I'm getting to the point. They live far enough from the Whole Foods that it is a little bit of an effort in our busy day-to-day society. Hurry up and go, and you guys know what I'm saying. Okay, now it's 9 o'clock. If they're open, I might be able to get there, or I might not be able to get there till Saturday because I got to take Jimmy to soccer practice. There's 3 track meets, and I got a dentist appointment, and my husband gotta get whatever. You understand what I'm saying? Our life gets in the way. So for them, I simply said, I asked them the question. I said, listen, first of all, I'm going to give you another 12 for helping me out, passing it on to your uncles, your brothers, your cousins, if you really believe in it, and allowing them. And they said they would do that. I'll take it at face value. But could they do it right then and there? No, they work full-time jobs, understand? So, anyway, I simply said to them, I'll give you some more free ones for helping me out. Then, I do have to start charging you if indeed you do want to do business. After this, you're helping me, I'm helping you, we'll help each other. I'll make it, whatever you're paying at the Whole Foods, I'll do better. I will. But I certainly won't charge you for delivery. Is that an advantage to you? Because we certainly know the neutral spot that I can drop it off at, which is what I've done. Does that help you? Is that worth it to you? They were all over it. They're not ready to place an order yet. But they said, well, yeah, that is attractive to us because of the little bit of distance, gas, time, whatever. It's an option, folks. And I continue to say, buy the water. If it is in your local proximity, that's great. We won. That's what I want. As long as you get this water wherever you get it, that's great. This is an option to do it a different way at a little bit more advantageously priced. If it warrants your volume of intake, if you love it, if you would buy 5 cases at the store or something, I don't know. Is it attractive? I have no idea. We may be perfectly content to go buy it at the retail store. And again, God bless us, God bless it, God bless you. Thank you for using the product. If you call up Seth tomorrow and order 9 million cases, that's awesome. That's what we want. But I committed to the water share program, so I'm certainly going to try, with Seth's good blessings, by the way, to do it the way that I'm doing it. And I stay in conference with him because it's his company. And I want to make sure I'm in alignment with how he wants to see it done, how he's doing it. And, the man is nothing but supportive. So I guess he's telling me that, and he's going to be on the show soon. That, he had to get to know me like any businessman. He had to get to know me or whatever, and we still don't know each other. That's as much as building a relationship as it is with a customer. It's about relationship building. It's the premise that I choose to work on. It's not the Bible of selling. I'm not up here doing fire and brimstone that you got to do it that way. You can do it. I'm a big promoter of that. I just said that before. Out of 600,000 plus of us, do we all want to be robotized and do it the same way and have a success ratio or whatever? I think I found my niche. It remains to be seen. I just jumped back in with fervent fire or whatever only about 6 weeks ago, after that hiatus. Slowly, surely, I'm getting more inquiries and what have you, and people, and I understand the apprehensiveness. I do. I really, honestly do. I've lived it, man. I've been right there with you. I promised you, I know you can't wait, and you may not even be there. And I'll close this up. I'm just going to rattle through these as far as when I said successful businesses, unsuccessful, whatever. Okay? I started a concierge business before. And I probably won't find those because I just had them out here. I'll show them to you another time. I also had these websites for resale that I talked about before. I'll show you that documentation in another video. I just did this a while ago with the Summit Spring thing. I had to do it in 2 sessions talking about the nostalgia. Well, I showed you in the second one that I really had the nostalgia. So you'll have to bear with me on the physical copies that I wanted to show you. That's part of my disease, is my advancing age and this loss of memory and all that kind of stuff. So in any event, when I have it to show you, I started this concierge business. The concept was awesome. The marketing material that I created, in my own humble opinion, because I have to do it, shoestring budget, sole proprietor. I'm not sure if it was awesome in the sense of awesome, all-time, outstanding, pretty good for a guy that has to cobble it together, who has no artistic flair to do so. Under that premise, I have to do these things, like you guys have to, in your respective stores, whatever. You have to go down and dust the shelf off, or whatever, right? Well, I'm in my warehouse, okay? It's a mess. It is what it is. It's a warehouse, guys. Okay, so I tried several businesses. Did I fail? I still don't think I failed. I never took it that way. I really didn't. I made some bad decisions of the commodities and so on and so forth. Absolutely. And then we got into all this, whatever. People were blowing up each other, and ports were being locked down, and import, export, tariffs, and all that. It just shot business in the foot. Because at the time of the big one, you all know what I'm talking about. Well, I was offering Canadian fish oil at that point in time. Nobody's fault. And there certainly were more tragedies and all of that, not to minimize those and not to put mine in comparison. What I'm trying to tell you is, due to a knot that instituted that, and we shut down all the borders for obvious reasons, well, oh poor me and oh poor everybody else at the time. There went my Canadian import business, so that one was done. Okay, it happens, whatever, but it happened. And again, before all you crazy, I'm not comparing it with the tragedy by any stretch of the imagination. I'm saying what the tragedy precipitated for all of us. Remember? I remember the conversation with my family, with my bad memory, as we sat in a patio diner in South Portland, Maine, and looked at the harbor. It was like a time zone movie. No action whatsoever, no boats, no sailboats, no ripples in the ocean almost. People on the street, everybody, in that aftermath, nobody knew what to do. I also relate to a time with a natural tragedy when we had the flood and the Dunkin' Donuts sign down the street made national news, and we were walking down what is a very busy thoroughfare right outside my door, that if you tried to do that now, you'd be killed instantaneous. Point being, Mother Nature, what have you, folks. Craziness in the world and all of the above. It devastated the city, literally, figuratively, like many cities are being devastated on like a daily basis now, right? With whatever your philosophies are or aren't about global warming and weather patterns and all of that. Something's happening for whatever the reasons are. I think we would agree to that. What you should be agreeing to is the soil is terrible in America. The soil is terrible. What the pesticides that are all being sued, I didn't make that up. Do your homework. Those pesticides are on almost everything you guys imbibe in the way of fruit, vegetables, what have you. Not because I say it, because it is true. Okay, all these storms, all these winds and gusts and tsunamis and snowfalls, that's anthropogenic pollution besides our own that we contributed, all blowing into the next farm, the next field, the next orchard, the next house, the next garden, the next river, the next stream. You guys do understand that, right? I mean, you get that concept, right? That degrades your food, the soil, the milk, the cheese, the onions, the tomatoes, whatever. That's no aspersions on the poor farmers and people that are trying to survive through all of that. I just did an expose that made national news from Arundel, Maine, about something that I had talked about previously, big deal. But lo and behold, dirty milk, bang, Arundel, Maine. Bang, Arundel, Maine. Bang, a local municipality supplying water is or isn't involved in being the culprit or, being responsible for an experimental human waste fertilizing program. That's human waste fertilizing program. I don't know. Watch the video. Go out there on the World Wide Web where you can find anything. From relevant information to totally non-significant information and everything in between. But you can find that video if you choose to do so. Arundel, Maine is like, 37 miles from my house. That particular farm is one of the many of one of the biggest suppliers in the state of Maine who sold the name. It's under new management. But that dairy is like one of the two long-standing supplying dairies in the state of Maine. That's one of the feeding farms, if you will, to their overall milk production. I don't know, what does that mean? What does that mean? Is that tainted milk on your shelves? I don't know. Have you drank it? I don't know. Does it get through quality control? I don't know. Is it tainted? Yup. Yup. And is that becoming more and more prevalent from Wisconsin or whatever the dairy state is? You pick it. In every state in the union, if indeed you have dairy products or what have you. Yep. Are the meats, poultry, etc. being infested? Of course. They eat off the ground too. They eat most of the poison that's degraded by the fertilizing companies that are now being sued. I didn't make it that way. You see all those lawyer firms on television. If you had, you know the route, right? If you use this product, call me up, right? Do I make those up? Do I make those up when you watch television and Product X, whatever Product X is for, and Product X times 27, if you're on network TV, right? In your hour sitcom or whatever, right? It's 37 minutes of commercials, give or take, right? So Product X, whatever it relieves, I don't know. Do I dream this stuff? Are the disclaimers longer than what are the positive aspects of the product, supposedly? I don't know. You hear them, right? You could have a stroke. You could grow a third nose. Your arm could fall off tomorrow. You could get heat stroke. You could. I mean, they do say those disclaimers, right? You hear them, right? So I don't know. I'm as perplexed as you guys are. That's why I chose to go this route. I made a life decision several years ago now. Okay? I chose to do it this way. I had great success with it. I still have people to this day, out of legitimate concern or whatever, it's because they don't understand it. They don't choose to understand it. Wow, you've lost a lot of weight. Are you okay? And all of that. And, I have this profound proboscis head. If I shave my beard, I have no chin. So, and if I wear certain garb or whatever, I do. I look like a chemo patient. I'm not. And I appreciate everyone's concern and what have you. But that's an assumption. Not so much that you're terminal or whatever. Not my point. That they're amazed. How could you have done that? Did you do it with weight control or whatever, the one that's prepackaged that some famous movie star just owned, and that was a bad business venture? I don't know. That's the reality of it. Because it's inferior product. They don't work. I don't know. So, when people say, again, out of concern or what have you, oh my God, you lost a lot of weight. I don't know, and again, out of concern. What it is they don't understand the concept. They don't. They don't choose to find out. They don't know how I did it. They don't care to know. And that's fine. But I didn't do it through Weight Watchers or whatever, or losing water weight. Big key, folks. You can use those products and lose 14 pounds next week. Today, tomorrow, in an hour. That's water weight. That's what they're designed to do. Do your homework. That's what they're designed to do. I didn't make it that way. That's how it's made. If you do your homework. That's why they don't work. That's why almost every over-the-counter pill, I don't know, you be the judge. Some of you have been using them for years. Right? Whatever they may be. I don't know. What is their efficacy rate? In your soul of souls, do they give you efficacy? Or do they drug the shit out of you? And make you feel like you're in the third world, or give you some kind of weird sensation that you don't want to be? Do they make you high? I don't know. Do they? If they're opioids, they most certainly do. And if they're opioids, you might be one of the many that's out on the street next week looking to do whatever you can do to get those opioids. Perhaps. Lots of successful people, professions, what have you, get victimized by habitual drug use, alcohol, whatever. Doesn't mean they're bad people in and of themselves in every single case. It means they have a disease. They have an addiction. And a lot of it is induced by Big Pharma. They want it that way, folks. They want it that way. Obviously. And a lot of what goes on in the world is predicated on that. That is a fact, Jack. It's just a fact. And if, your public servant X decides to line his or her pockets by aligning themselves with those folks, and tell me that doesn't happen. Come on. Tell me that doesn't happen. So it's a mindset that we've been brainwashed, all of us, over 7 decades unique to hemp, right? Is it wrong? If you do the homework, that was a government thing, because hemp has an industrial application in the paper industry. And because it could be provided so cheaply, and they couldn't make profits, that's a real reason. That's the real reason. Do your homework. That's the real reason behind it. And then, you know, the crazy Reefer Madness movies that you've heard me talk about. And that's just way over the top. I don't care what anybody says. You participate, you don't participate. You know a little something about marijuana, you know nothing about marijuana. I can guarantee you that no one has ever reacted on marijuana alone in and of itself the way that it was depicted in 1938 and or 9 when the movie came out, thus calling it Reefer Madness. Okay? Remember Robert Mitchum? Well, he got busted for pot too, back in, I don't know, 1942. Whatever. I'm not on that type of a pulpit, but it did get misaligned. You've heard the clinicians say that. You've heard Sanjay Gupta say that. Okay? You heard him apologize to the people. I didn't make him say that, right? So believe it, don't believe it, find out about it, but you will never know if you're even remotely in the position to want to make a comparison on anything if you don't crack the cap, if you don't use it, if you don't put the ointment, whatever it is that you want to compare it to. I have this going on with my employer for the second time on a taste test. I did it last year. There's reasons. It's not so much the taste or whatever. They're catching on. And it remains to be seen. The big one, understandably, in an office environment, understandably, we all do our gossip or talk about the boss or whatever around the water cooler, right? Well, way back when Summit Spring did offer it and whatever, I used to have home delivery. I've talked about that. They don't do the bubbler bottles. As a whole, it's not their marketplace. So, in an office environment, it's understandable that the bubblers, the fountains, whatever you guys call them, are in every office regardless of the water that's in the said unit, of course. However, in some facilities, to include my own, they have both bottled water and the bubblers. Now, lots of people's concerns, which is a good one, and you're to be applauded if you do, worry about plastic bottles. Kudos to you. And that's great. So we don't make the proverbial coral reef, which is made out of plastic, that's floating around between California and Hawaii, which is real, and the landfills that are already filled beyond capacity, that is a documented fact that the decomposition would take 500 more years to degrade your term of the plastic, whether it's a water bottle or all plastic bottles that are in every landfill across the country. In my humble opinion, I'm not sure if the world has 500 years left for that type of plastic to decompose. So kudos to you that posed the question about the plastic bottles and the pain in the neck to discard of them via returnables or otherwise. 2 keys. This is a BPA bottle, meaning it does decompose. It doesn't integrate the environment. It doesn't degrade the soil, what have you. That is a fact, Jack. Go to their website, document it. But it is a fact. So it is BPA free. The bottles. Another environmentally friendly thing that the company does. To your eyes of the beholder interpreting that. But it is a fact. So, under that premise, Company A, forget mine. If it happens, it happens. If it's meant to be or whatever. We both have an affinity for the same Animal Refuge League that you've heard me talk about over at ADA's. They supported heavily my employers in the private sector. That may or may not have a kick because I am giving 5% of the Tourmaline sales alone to the Animal Refuge League over and above our normal percentage that we give to them. based on sales that are generated at Ada's website. The other percentage of sales, however large and or small, thank you for what's accumulated in less than 6 weeks, goes to her semblance of a college fund that, good Lord willing, she'll be in less than 7 years, my friends. Okay? So, now's the time to start. If I accomplish the mission, well, we get millions to be crazy, or, $3,000. Well, it's that amount of money more towards that aspiration. That's what I do at that website. Now you say, why do you have 3? Well, there's a reason for that. You go to Kennel Kelp and place an order of your own discretion. I'll keep that, thank you very much. But here's the key. I never keep it. I always rejuvenate the business to buy my inventory, to try to do it with cash. You're starting to see the cycle. You're starting to see why I have an interest in the business. Do you understand why I would love to get the residual passive income going? In my show tomorrow, my radio show, I'm going to do the business opportunity video outtake again. If indeed you're coming back and you have some degree of interest, I would strongly, please listen to that video at your leisure, available time, or whatever, because I think it dissects the industry, not just this one, unique to the company, about how the honest business model of network marketing is just as viable, just as legitimate, and just as ethical as any other one. And it's a proven model. Why couldn't you and shouldn't you leverage the efforts of others in an ethical way of doing so? Mary Kay, etc. Those are all ethical businesses and highly successful. And yep, those are network marketing companies. And for the very last time, in and of itself, whether you've ever formally worked for a network marketing per se, so designated, you're a network marketer every day of your life, regardless of what you do. Simply by, if you tell somebody there's a great dress on sale at your favorite dress sale, that's network marketing, because you're generating them to go to the shop where that said dress is on sale. You're doing a favor, to some degree, to the proprietor of that shop, especially if the person you're referring goes over there and makes a purchase. That's network marketing. Let me ask you this. The proprietor might say to you, thank you so much. They might give you a coupon, an appreciation, or whatever. Is that the norm? Do you get paid for your referrals, if you will? If you tell someone about there's a great book, if there are any bookstores left anymore, I don't know, and go buy it at a bookstore, if indeed they go do that, you get the premise. New restaurant, oh my God, that guy's got the best recipe for ribs or whatever. That's network marketing. If you talk to Sally or Mary that I just talked about, that you probably see more than your own family, if indeed you work, like most of us out there, around the clock, to try to get 2 nickels together to survive in all of this crazy stuff. Well, that's network marketing. I'm not sure if you're getting paid for that, maybe. This is network marketing that you have the opportunity to get paid for what you do every single day, if you choose to do it. It's no different. Now, you have to believe in what you're doing and what you're selling. These are superlative products. There's already 70 as we speak. There's already projection. I can't keep up with all of this because I'm usually tardy in the sales meetings. I haven't attended and listened to a live sales meeting in almost a year. I go back and listen to the recorded ones because in my personal life, I'm that busy. I'm not afforded the luxury to do them at the time that they're actually doing them. That's wonderful if the other people are. It's wonderful. It's not a bad thing on either side of the fence. But it doesn't mean I didn't listen to the material. Understand? Understand? So there's all ways that we have to do everything. Are some of you going to school at whatever age you may be at and working? I don't know. You fit somehow in there to do your academia too, right? Somehow we do it, folks. We do it through rote. I think it's a lot like military. I wasn't active in the military, but I can see where, get up, you got to do it, you got to go, you got to do the 27 miles or whatever crazy analogy you want to use, jump over the walls or whatever. To some degree, we do that every day, right? We're jumping through hoops for everybody. Am I wrong? And depending on where you do it, don't work. And I'm not saying this goes on in my environment. Understand, out there, is it not true that there's the evil boss somewhere that will literally hold it over your head that, hey, if you don't sell 37 widgets or make 27 buttons or whatever you guys do, you understand, you're making gerotors for airplanes. A gerotor is for an airplane, if you didn't know that. It's a part of the propeller. It's also made by a fine company here called W.H. Nichols, okay? In any event, whatever you do in your respective work lives, can you honestly tell me that, I've already asked you this, that there's not disgruntled bodies somewhere within your operation if you have enough headcount to do so? Is everybody as happy as a clam where you work? Okay. Do you have an evil Edna, an evil Tom, Jack, Sally, Smith, Joey, Freddie? You get my point. Commando, Gestapo, supervisor, boss, if you're a teacher, whatever they may be, I don't even know that anymore. Who's bosses, principal, administrator, business manager, whatever that whole protocol is, I don't have any idea. Good luck to them too. Another industry that's completely shot through no fault of the dedicated people that still remain to try to do unbearable, unattainable, unrealistic, crazy goals, just like all of us and all that. So my point is, if you are to that level, that you are looking for even whatever amount of money, more, you can truly have this as your own business opportunity. It's your choice. But you will never find one for $48. I can guarantee you that you don't have to be responsible for the inventory, the packaging, the shipping, any of it, the customer service, the follow-up. You simply direct people to go here. If they do it, you reap the benefits. Like a Mary Kay, like an Avon. If you have 5, whatever they call them, Mary Kay, executive number ones or whatever. I don't know all that terminology. You understand the point. Well, if you've done the legwork to do that, you get those levels and that pay compensation. Bingo, same here. What's different about this one is look at that pay matrix. That's why it's patented. No one does the pay matrix like that. So there is no business opportunity like this out there. There just isn't. But you have to find it out for yourself. So I'm kind of done on talking about CTFO in that regard. I will continue to talk about CTFO in that regard because I am actively looking for a team. But I can't devote the rest of my life because I have responsibilities to my other businesses, and I have to work until next year. It's the way it is. So I'm going to infuse the products. I already have. I'm working on plans to do it on the human side of life. I've decided to do my niche on CTFO that way. I've decided to do my niche on my independent business, which it is, with their blessings. I'm doing it a different way, which lots of them are doing it a different way. And lots of them are having huge success. I haven't been fortunate enough yet to get the total ear, the total audience, the total expose, whatever. That's coming. I'm working on that. And that's a scheduling coordination with the parties involved. Number one. It's called life, folks. We all experience it to whatever degree. There's lots of things we'd love to do just like that, and if we could, do them, and myself included. There's constraints and whatever on all of us. And we're just trying to wade through it and make it work the best way that we can. But I think if you do the investigative work to the degree of disseminating what makes us different, That's all we can ask for, really, because we are, and we do business differently. That's also why I align myself with the company, because it's been my moniker forever. I do business differently. It depends on who's measuring the degree of success. For the very last time, I enjoyed attaining some levels in my career in years past. Again, I'm not a Friday night hero. This is 40 years ago. Okay? I've never hidden that. But it's real. And that's how long ago, pretty much, really, that I worked in the private sector, worked in the private sector. Pretty much, for the most part. Have I had other jobs and all that? Yes. But always when I started to decide that I've had enough of this, I'm going out on my own. And I did. And here I am 25 years later. Do I live in a mansion and am I waving $10,000 in front of you in a packet like some of the commercials out there? You've seen them. And, is all my hair in place? I don't have any. Do I have the latest, wave and am I ripped or whatever? Nope. I'm me. This is what you get. Sorry. But I'm not waving around piles of $10,000 that they don't have either. They probably borrowed that from their rich uncle who is rich so they could do the commercial. But anyway, whatever. They don't have 5 cars and, they've gone around the world 17 times and all that kind of stuff. To some degree of what they're telling you, yes, they probably have done that, but no, not the way they expose it. Please, folks, come on. That's what we're not. I think that's the best way I can say it. That's what we're not. You decide. Okay, business-wise, in promoting the business, I'll always do that, and looking for a sales team, blah, 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 blah. But that is not going to be the only way that I do this. Pure and simple, again, we're all designated independent associates. That's what we're designated as. That's why it's an independent business. It is your business if you decide to make it your business in every connotation of that word. Literally, figuratively. Make it your business as in busybody business, or your business as in the occupation that hopefully helps put some money on your table. Okay, when you get there to do so, the pay matrix is self-explanatory. How it works, if it works, how you have to make it work, should you decide to do so. I mean, you do have to work it. You don't just get any website, whether it's free or not. Trust me on that one. I definitely know about that. You don't just throw it up on the website and it's a field of dreams and, oh my God, here they come and watch this. It will not work that way, regardless of who you are. That I can guarantee you. So don't get hung up on the word free or whatever. It is free. Now, I also told you, there's options to accentuate the said website if you choose to do so. Just like there are with any other companies, any other options. And just like any other company or any other options, well, if you decide to do the bells and whistles, yep, there's a price for that. Your choice of whether it's fair or nominal or whatever, I let you determine that. I just said there is a charge. And there's parameters that go accordingly for the free site. It's free for a reason. You are limited in scope to some degree. Self-explanatory when you get there. If you decide to go to phase 2, it costs X. I don't know if they have 2 or 3 more options. If they do, I think there's 1 more. Well, it's like that. Anything you want to equate it to. Silver packages, premium packages, gold packages. You guys have heard all those terms. I've used them. I'm on my blog talk show, okay? If I choose to go from program A to program B, I certainly most definitely pay for it to have a couple of bells and whistles. Same with my own 3 websites. If I have the capabilities of doing A, making pretty pictures that slide down or roll down or whatever, well, you can bet that I'm paying for that, right? So there's nothing secretive or there's no gotchas. That's the word I'm looking for. There's no gotchas like a lot of them. Oh, we got you. There you go. You sucker, you. We hooked you. Now you're going to hate, whatever. Now, having said that, in all fair analogy, okay, I'm not responsible for 600,000 other people. How they do the business once they come on is their business, literally, figuratively, to their ethical business model or whatever. It's their business. Now, with this back office that I've touted so highly, with the weapons that are there, yes, there are available tools to do robocalling. If you choose to exercise that sales tool that is in the bag, you do not have to initiate that one. Being the straight shooter that I am, and I already told this to my sponsor, I will never use robocall. That's my technique. That's my preference. That is not saying it's not successful. They don't have great success with it. Tommy hasn't been lighting up the board by using it. None of that. I just told you what I do and don't do. My choice. My business. Independent associate. Get it? So, point being, will some people do the robocall? Well, of course they will. Robocall or whatever, and emails and all that. So, well, of course they will. I may do parts and parcel of the other ones that I haven't expanded upon. I choose not to do robocops. I call it robocop because it's a robocall. And robocop is becoming more and more prevalent just on doing this stuff on the internet, right? The cyber cops or whatever. So, whatever. This is a really long video, but they are going to be because it's so detailed. This is 25 years of products, acquaintances, and so forth that I'm trying to microcosm into like 4 weeks or whatever. So you're just gonna have to absorb it as you see fit, if you see fit. This is how I do it. I did not say it's the way to do it. I didn't say I'm a prophet. I didn't say I'm anything other than a guy that's just trying to figure it out. And I've also said, for obvious reasons, one being mortality. I mean, we're all going to die, myself included. Well, I'm certainly closer to that than, it may be a number of years away, and I kind of think it might be, but I don't determine that. But it's certainly closer at this juncture in my life. I'm certainly well over the halfway mark of my life. I'm not going to live to be 130, right? I just turned 65. I believe the math, 65 times 2. If you add those columns of figures together, what do you get for an answer? I get 130. I don't guarantee much. I'll guarantee you I will not live to be 130, and probably almost all of us won't be, unless this new medicine proves to be what it shows all signs of being. Maybe the new longevity rate will be in excess of 115. I don't know that. I don't claim that either. So, point being, 65, schmixty-5, 105, whatever. I obviously approach the business differently than if I was 25. For the 40-year difference in and of itself, right, folks? If I was 25, I'd be doing it for a lot of different reasons. I'd be doing it maybe more the suggested regimented ways and whatever. Time is of the essence, folks. If I'm going to make it work or whatever, I don't have a whole lot of time in the scheme of things. This isn't gloom and doom. I don't think I'm going to die in the next hour or something like that. It's not what I'm saying. But I'm certainly getting closer. And I'm certainly getting older by the minute, like all of us, chronologically. What I don't want to be is I don't want to be totally infirmed if I do decide to stick around. And I don't want to be able or not able to go someplace or to be mobile or, whatever. It's my biggest fear. And I would be like a caged animal for all these reasons that you see, with all these conditions I have. I'm just being honest, folks. It's my biggest fear. And it's my biggest fear right now with all this brain stuff and all of that. I'm fine. I'll figure it. I'll survive. I'll make it. But, I'm trying to deal with a lot of stuff as we all are. That's part of all of these subjects, regardless of the ultimate supplier. We're all looking for stress relief somehow, right? We're all looking for anxiety relief somehow, to whatever degree we individually experience it, wherever it is on your individual Geiger counter meter, good, bad, extreme, quiet, unquiet, loud, boisterous, silent, you're a mime, you're an agoraphobic, whatever. We're all something. And to some degree, if it's not a physical and or mental disease, it's both. Or it's a phobia, or it's whatever it is. People that are agoraphobic, those that are for a reason. People that have fear of heights or birds or whatever. Right? So let's just have an affinity that hopefully we're sort of all in this together to try to control prices as much as we can, to try to get healthy as much as we can. And I fervently believe, it's a belief. Can my belief be wrong? Of course it can be. But it's a belief that as people that are my granddaughter's age, give or take, right now, are indeed going to be the young adults of the world in less than a decade. That's frightening to me. They got to take over what we've created for them, whatever your personal philosophies are on where the world's at. In my opinion, it's not in a good place. Well, I'm trying to make it a better place to how I can possibly humanely control it. This is a way. I'm going to give my granddaughter every advantage she can possibly have to be successful, to be a survivor, to be able to be innovative and creative, to be a decision maker moving forward, whatever her career choice may ultimately be. But you know what? I think that generation, given the opportunity to do so, whatever lies for fate in this world, moving forward, I believe that generation, given the opportunity to get there to do so, will change everything. Change it logically, methodically, calmly, civilly, and astutely. And this will be the medicine of the future. It just will be. Not because I say it. Look around you. But do disseminate the good from the bad, the ugly, the real, the scammers, the spammers, and everything else. Because unfortunately, that is out there. And we hugely all are guilty by association, and we basically all prejudge to some degree, myself included. And I'm trying to learn about that and not do that, which is also a challenge for me. So at 65 years old, I approached the business differently for the obvious. If I had expendable money to do so, even at 65, I would invest heavily in the stocks of cannabis, CBD, hemp, as a future. Get it? As in future stock, different connotation of the word future. Here we go again. My connotation is in the stock future. Pork bellies, whatever, futures. You guys are in the stock market, right? If I was 25, I'd definitely be all over this if I had two nickels to rub together to create a portfolio, because this is the wave of the future. Has that stock market in its infancy, because it's now legal since the hemp law, right? Has that stock market had a long enough longevity to have a viable track record? Well, not exactly. For instance, in November it tanked. Sound familiar in the stock market? If you're an investor, come on, you guys know that. You ride the tide. If you're in it, if you want to make a quick hit or all that, good luck. But the stock market's for the long term. If you maturize it to its full potential, it's always roller coaster, up, down, in, out, round the corner, right? Okay, November, mostly because of the newness and mostly because there's 9 billion companies getting into this business to whatever degree. Well, some of them are viable, non-viable, whatever. So the first initial stock crave wave went right in the tank. Well, now, because we are losing some of the pretenders, wannabes, can't provide the quality product, etc., they've already gone by the wayside. Already. Thus, the stock market in February went off the charts on cannabis and CBD. And in my humble opinion, I'm no more of a prognosticator in that arena than anybody else. But damn it, if I was 25, I'd be all over that. Because I would have a fair chance of living for X number of years from 25. You know, obviously people die tragically at 25, 24, 4, infant, whatever. But in most instances at 25, you've got a few years to live, right? In most instances. And if I had expendable money to do so, I would jump all over the stock at 65 for however many years I got left, because I think I can make some money at it had I had the money to invest. And at this point in time in my life, that's not a motivating factor in my life to invest in anything. I'm running out of time, folks. Okay? Not oh, poor me or whatever. It's the reality of it. So the reality of it, I'm trying to jumpstart it. The only way I've ever had success in doing anything that I've ever done in the past. Is it the model of now? I have no idea. But I'm going to find out. So to end this and wrap it up, I'm going after corporate. I'm trying to get the big boys and gals and women and proprietors and manufacturers and whatever. Why not? They're already in the CBD business. Already. The exclusivity of the 10X Pure is the way I'm going to go. I did not say I'm not going to promote all the other products. I didn't say that. I told you what I am going to do. And this isn't a loss leader. It's an old term. It's not what the name implies, loss leader, as in loss. It's a loss leader to get you in the door because you're the only person in the world that's got the product, other than my constituents 600,000 times over, the company. I don't know. Once upon a time, somebody had the exclusivity to whatever product you want to choose, right? Once upon a time, every product in the country, good, bad, and different, had a starting point, right? Every product in the country has had a shelf life, a longevity, a product life, whatever, right? This is in its infancy as a company. It's in its infancy as a commodity because of all those reasons that have been, bitch slapped for 7 decades. Okay, over and out. I'll see you in the next one. For those of you that do come in, this podcast is for this reason. When I do my blog talk shows, I change the meter, I change the pretense, I change the cadence. I have to do both to protect my business. On air, it's all regimented, metered, structured, moderate pace, no excitability, no anything. That's all here. Because that's part of my therapy also. Thank you. I'll see you in the next whatever, wherever, with all my venues. Stay healthy, be happy.